Hello, guys. The last time I played some Andre Crouch, and now I've got a name, I think. It has to do something with records. On the record. You know, that's too cliche. It's like, duh. Um, Record. I don't know. But, like, basically every episode will start out with me playing a record, you know? And, ooh, okay. Let's kind of let's I was gonna play some Tame Impala, but I'll do that next time. I'm gonna do Michael Kiwanuka in the spirit of like soul gospel. If you don't know Michael Kiwanuka, if you don't know Michael Kiwanuka, get to know him. Maybe I can like no. Welcome to On the Record. Is that going to be the name? I feel like there's got to be a podcast that was already called that. I mean, I know there is. I can kind of see it in my head. So, I don't know. Something record. And like in my head, playing this on the record and playing it analog means like I won't get flagged. But I doubt that. But I need loving. Listen, I saw Michael Kiwanuka for the first time and only time so far at Terminal West. I won tickets. Is that how it went? Yeah. I like think I did something on IG and I won a ticket and I freaked out. And I was like so excited to go see him. So excited. I remember like debating like I really can't come to church tonight because I got these free tickets and like I really want to go. Yeah, it was just a really funny time. But yeah, I went to that show and knocked my socks off. Maybe I'll insert a photo or a video. Well, if I have access to my iCloud by now. Um, yeah. He's like one of my favorite voices out of the UK. He's Ugandan and from the UK. And he has an episode on Song Exploder. It brought me to tears. Yeah, that was Michael Kiwanuka. Tell me a tale. Um, yeah, he's amazing. I know I have probably, given that the last episode is about me being in the UK, I'm going to just give a hot take here because I talked about this with Salima too. She was like, I just feel like, I'm going to look here this time, not there. She's like, I just feel like Black British artists have so much potential and they're so present in the UK, but they just don't have the reach in like the US and other countries that US artists have there. And I was like, that makes sense. I said, like, I remember significantly like a period of time in college where like every voice I was really enjoying for like a good bit was coming out of the UK. And so, anyways, that's just a little segue to say, like, go listen to music from the UK, you know, like spend some time on their playlists and like, yeah, maybe I'll put the podcast, not the podcast, the playlist from London to Croydon by Salima in the bio. And yeah, she also just did for us, I think it was last month, a South African house music playlists. Listen, I'm so proud of Playlist Posse. It's like, it's my favorite little fun thing. And to think it just came randomly out of like an Instagram story share, which like is some of the positive sides of like social media and quick things. Like things can happen quickly by nature of social media, but you just have to be really aware and not think that there's always going to be moments like that keep you engaging, but that like you share authentically when you're ready to share. And if you don't got nothing to say, like don't say nothing. Or like don't feel obligated. Or like, I don't know, there was just something, there was a pattern that was coming up for me of like, I don't know when to share and when not to share. And like, I feel like I keep justifying and talking myself into why things would be beneficial to share. And I don't know if I'm actually correct or if I'm just like looking for feedback. And sometimes those things may be like authentic and genuine, but other times they cannot be. You know, they can be still rooted in some sort of like vanity or self centeredness. And so, yeah, I'm on a break until next year. You know, I know that's just like what, 4 weeks, but I've been off of it for, you know, most of November, given the situation. But I've still been like logging in on the internet and I still know kind of what's happening. But not being able to scroll TikTok has been so terribly beneficial. Like, it's been so terribly beneficial. Like, I miss it so much and I feel so out of touch. I feel like I need to keep up with my Gen Z people. Like, come on. But, like, how am I going to be in on the inside jokes? But in the same breath, it's like, I got a little piece of social media and I was just scrolling. You know, it just feels like, you know, I logged back in on TikTok on the computer, not the same. But it was just like, just take a step back and chill and be present. And like, these things are still tools. And you should only feel compelled to communicate when you actually feel like you have something to say. So ironically, in the midst of what was probably the most tumultuous past few weeks and disorienting, now I have something to say. You know, like there's a correlation there, being able to step back and re-enter intentionally. And so I don't know what that looks like for sure, because I can't like definitively say what my relationship to social media will be like once I'm kind of like able to get a phone up and running. I'm still like going through service issues and I switched to Google Fi, and it's just the digital space of my life is just a mess right now. And so normally when that happens, I feel very disoriented in real life, but I'm forced in this moment and for the past few weeks to like sit in the tension of that and still feel okay. 'Cause it's like I check my emails in the morning. Like once I have a clear inbox, I get started with work. And like once I'm able to get through work and have stuff done, like then I feel kind of like, you know, if I have things in limbo or if I'm procrastinating and things are like sitting on hard drives and things have to be like, I'm so discombobulated. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think like having my technical world flipped upside down by like one, not being able to log into iCloud and having to get security checks, and my phone service isn't working now that I have the SIM into the old phone and I have to still get a new phone and all these things. I'm like still forced to like go and get a light, hook up the camera, sit down and talk, you know? So it's like some sort of lesson that's happening, and I'm sure that'll become clearer with time. So in that spirit, I'll shift to talking about, I guess, what's kind of on my heart right now, which I think is related to just this idea of like lessons. In the past, I've had this idea with a friend to do this podcast called Lessons Are for Learning. And again, like ideas, too many of them, lack of focus. blah, blah, blah. Um, so yeah, I had this idea for the podcast. Lessons are for learning. That's what it would have been called. I still have the IG account, I think. Maybe this will be called Lessons Are for Learning. Lessons on the record. Recorded lessons. No. Lessons on the record? I don't know. I don't know. Anyways. So the whole premise of the podcast would be just like sitting down with each other or creatives and talking about the lessons that they're learning. Like that's it. Really casual, because I think a lot of times like people come on shows and they're like, this person did this and share your knowledge on this and da 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 da, which is cool, and I listen to those podcasts. But like, I've entered my 5th year of freelance this past September, and I can assure you I have more questions now than when I started. So like, to sit in a position of authority in the creative freelance entrepreneurial space is so bizarre to me right now, like as a concept, because it's just like I feel like I have like 20 years to go. Like I just feel like I'm committed to doing this for 10 years, and then like I think maybe I'll have a grip on it. So I think it's just like really important to emphasize what we're all learning, like the hard lessons of being, choosing to be in this space and like working for yourself and like trying to build something. Yeah, so I think there's just an importance in being able to say like, these are the things that I'm learning. So, you know, people in the creative space will ask you like, so what are you working on? And that's, you know, that's dope and it's exciting and very standard. Nothing is wrong with that. But I think it's been harder to answer that question for me lately, because I'm like, I don't know. I don't. I'm just trying to find like systems and order in life right now and figure out what the heck I want out of this business. And I guess this year I can say one of the main things that I've been learning is like how to like celebrate your wins that come in ways that you didn't expect. So one of the things that I set out to do was to have this website up for New Gen and be able to like start this process of like pulling it out of the Instagram space and making it what I kind of really envision, and curating my first like live show. And that came about in certain ways this year. Like I was able to curate a show within a bakery space with like 4 artists that I really love. And that was cool, you know, like wasn't exactly what I thought it would be, but it was cool. And then I got to assist as the curator with a friend on a solo exhibition and helping her through that process. And I struggled, and I openly said to her, like, I don't know if I'm adding much value here. And she's just like, please, like, stop. I, you know, it was kind of like, am I qualified enough to be like called the curator in this moment? And, you know, I think like working with friends it was like what I needed to kind of get over that insecurity of feeling worthy. So those are ways in which like curatorship from the digital space translated in the physical space. It's just in ways that I didn't expect and not in the ways that I specifically outlined. Learning to edit your own goals and like not obsess over something not happening the way you thought it would happen, and really assess it from a bird's eye view and like a little bit further back. Try to not be as close to it, and really see the way in which you've been able to accomplish something. I've realized too that I feel kind of like stuck. I feel like stuck as a creative in terms of like, I guess capped is a better word. Like I feel like there are just things that I need to experience as a director and as a person in video on larger sets to help me get to where I would like to be. And that just looks like, you know, being essential. that wasn't planned. In any space that I'm in, like being an indispensable creative voice. So whether that's operating as a cinematographer, a director, like working in production, like just being able to like know my ish, you know what I'm saying? And so I think like I know a lot of what to do working by myself or working with one other person at like smaller scale things, but I know I've been feeling this before, but I know I need like access to larger productions. And so I applied to a residency that would have kind of offered me that, didn't get through for it, but still going to keep my eyes out for things like that where, you know, you can essentially like join a production house or a editing house or whatever your specific expertise is, and shadow like people within the industry, and get more like experience from working with a team. That's like something that I know that I really, really, really desire. So yeah, in that way I felt capped, but financially in business I've also felt capped. And so those are ways in which those two things have been kind of like pressuring on me, because it's like I need to make other choices to have more disposable income, not just for myself, not just to be able to save, not just be able to handle things that come up, but also to like put capital back. Sorry, that was probably a strong P. I'm going to say that again. I don't know why I'm doing that, because I don't think I'm going to edit these. Maybe. We'll see. But yeah, like to be able to put capital back into your ideas. And so it's like, I know there's certain things I can't do until I get capital. And so it's like, I had to learn that in like frustrating ways, but that's okay. You know, like you're 28, Kim, you know, like you're getting there. You'll figure it out. And there's always this divide. I guess the other thing is like this comfort in a divide, feeling like I have vested interests in two different spaces. So I have vested interests in the more commercial video world, directing, production. There are shows that I love, like my favorite show right now is Atlanta. So sad that it has come to an end, but if you have not watched Atlanta, I really don't know what you're doing. Like seriously, like stop this podcast and go watch it. And if you don't like it, like, I don't know what to say. I have thoughts, but I won't say anything. Anyways, I've realized that I have vested interest in like this directorial space, the cinematography space, the creative space that requires larger productions and teams. But then I also have interest in fine art and video art as my personal medium as an artist. And now even to the point where I want to go back to school to be able to finish some of the work that I started in undergrad. And so I have like a vested interest in like fine art through my own video work, through curatorship. And then I have a vested interest in this other world over there. And to some people, it'll be like, well, it's still video. It's like, yeah, but fine art is fine art. And a TV show is a TV show. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and sure, Atlanta, ironically, is a show that really blurs those lines. I would say video art techniques are used in Atlanta. I would make a hot take and say that. Which makes me feel like I have to explain video art, but I won't do that this time. Maybe next time. And yeah, but like they're different worlds. They're different industries. They're different industries. They have different interests. I'll say it like this. I was interested in the film video program in the art school when I was at Syracuse and the communication school. There were two film programs at one university, one in the art school and one in the communication school. And when I asked that director why there are two film programs and what's the difference, she said, and I quote, "In the art school, they make films for creative expression. In the communication school, which was Newhouse, we make films to make money." I was like, oh, copy. For me at that time, I said definitely going with the art school, right? But there is still the part of me that's like, I like being able to work in commercial space. Money aside, because everybody want to make money. You want to make money in fine art. You want to make money in communication. We want to make money in fine art. Like we just don't compromise certain things in order to get to that place. You understand? Even though there's still compromises and everything, but it's just like your commitment to expression is just different. And I would argue maybe a bit deeper, like more connected to your personhood. Whereas like people that love storytelling and jumping into other people's ideas, they really jump into other people's ideas. It doesn't have much to do with their own stories per se. Dang, the peas. I don't have a pop filter. But yeah, I would say, I don't know, it's complicated. That's why it's so hard to navigate, because it's like you can kind of say some of the same things for both, but they still differ in certain ways. So like the tool that you use to get there is the same. Video art in the fine art space still uses a camera, and so does, the commercial video art space. But there's just like so many different things about the process. And so, if I go on and work in a commercial space and shadow someone and see what it's like on a set, it doesn't necessarily make me a better fine artist. Because, like, my first video work was shot on the camera on my MacBook and, like, was received well, And so there's, like, a sense that if I figure out things on the fine art space, it may contribute to this, but it's like, no, they're different industries, And so, yeah. That was a long tangent. But becoming comfortable with having different interests and not feeling like it makes me unfocused and scattered. Even though, as I say that right now, I feel very unfocused and scattered. So it's like trying to combat that narrative, because it's like, I don't have to turn around all my gifts to make profit. I don't have to turn around everything I'm doing to make profit. And like, because I can't do that, then that makes me like what? A bad or not smart creative? I don't think so. Like, my commitment is to the medium and to expression. And like, as I do that well, like my value should increase in the knowledge that I bring to something. And hopefully the people around you can recognize that, whether I'm in the video art space or whether I'm in the film space, And like, I see too many people struggling and stressing over like their mental health around the roles that they take on with work for me to be out here trying to like hoe myself out for a quick coin, just to be frank. So it's like, there are things that have been tempting this year, like being offered 6 figures to go direct for someone else's company. That's not a flex. That can sound like a flex. Maybe it was a little bit of flex. Maybe it's kind of to make me feel a little bit better, because I feel like I've been given a lot of negativity. But again, lessons are for learning. That's what we're here for, to talk about the hard-ish. Okay. But yeah, I think there were different points this year where it was like that could have been real nice right now. Like just working for someone else and just not having to think about business in the way that I have been. Like this year I filed for S Corp. I'm putting myself on payroll. I can't even afford to pay the dang quarterly taxes. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is a lot. And like trying to think through like what I want the company to be. Like, am I going to bring someone else on? It's just like overwhelming. And I think in a lot of ways I've just been like, this is the path you've chosen, Kim. And you know why you've chosen that. And you love that you have chosen that. But you're just in the thick of it right now as you transition into sitting in it more comfortably. It feels like this year I really started taking video as a business, like something to think about and have projections for. I think before it was just like, oh, it's sustaining me. It's giving me a little bit of money. I'm not balling, but, I ain't broke. I'm kind of broke, but not broke. You know what I'm saying? And like I'm blessed to have people around me that if it got to a certain point, they would be able to help me out. And that's something that I don't take lightly. It can be hard for me to receive sometimes, but I've been learning to accept that because I know if I was in a different position, I would gladly do the same. And so it's like a motivation to be in that position so you can give back to the people that really like hold you down, you know? But yeah, I guess that's kind of it. I don't know what else to say, but yeah, lessons are for learning. Like these are the things that you have to be willing to do if you're stepping out to work and build something that you don't see existing how you want it to in this world, is that you have to accept that it comes with a lot of lessons and a lot of reasons to learn. And so if that's not what you're into, like I think about my friend Ahmet, who I met in Istanbul. He was like the first photographer I was able to like shadow and really work with and see like the creative life up close, which was amazing, amazing, amazing. And we're still in contact to this day. And I think like one of the things about him was like he looked like he had it all together. He had been like the art director for Vogue Turkey and like, you know, was doing his own exhibitions and like going to this place and flying out to do this and shooting for this magazine. And I sat down with him and I was like, man, like, how did you, this is amazing. Like, how did you get to the space? And he was just like, what space? You know, like, I feel like I'm 10 years in and I'm just starting to figure it out, you know? And so I think like that, I reflect on that so much because when I'm having moments of like feeling really inadequate or not capable, it's like, commit to the 10-year journey, Kim. Commit to that. Commit to that process. And it may not even be 10 years. What if it's 12? You know, I don't know. But it's like you have to, if this is the path that you've chosen, you have to keep going with that same intention. And if that intention shifts, it's okay, right? Because it's still a part of your own process and your ability to get where you need to be. So even if I get 8 years in and I'm like, jumping ship to go work and direct with someone else, it's like it's still all contributing to like my ideas and my plans of how to show up in the world. So I don't need to like feel unnecessary obligation on either side. Like I don't need to feel the obligation to make a perfect business within a set time frame and be this success story. But I also don't need to feel the pressure to like go and abandon this because I don't feel like it's working how I want it to right now and go jump into someone else's thing. Like you are in control of that path and it's your responsibility to like harness that path and know why you're making certain decisions going forward. And so I may not have all the business answers in what I'm working on right now, but I know like this experience of like being disconnected has brought me back to slow and intentional documentation and slow and intentional ways of sharing and being as a creative online. And that's all I got right now. And that's like got to be good enough. I'm still going to try to like advocate for myself and get paid next year. But these are things that I enjoy to do, you know, like in this moment. But when I'm bogged down by like constant posting and constantly doing like micro versions of this in my everyday life, like, of course I don't have the energy to do what I'm doing right now. So let's change that, you know, at least for now until we decide to change it again, you know? I know that's really like gray. But that's just how I operate to be real. You know, it's just like just be present in your process and like stop comparing. That's like the big thing I'm working on this year is like stop comparing. Stop comparing because you don't know what it's like for the person that's in the position that you think is better than yours or like more experienced and more affluent than yours. Like you don't know. And the reality is like I can get up today and do this because I just did like the work that I need to do for the next few days, like in an hour. So making sure that I harnessed all this time that I have, to be able to use it productively and, to be able to like be intentional about it. Yeah. So I lied a little bit. There's some work that's delayed that I still got to do, but you get the point that I'm saying. There even just the example of going to London, I could take 2 weeks off because 2 weeks before I left, I worked like a dog to get all those videos edited and all the clips and everything up so that they could be there, So it's like I can make certain choices because this is the life that I have. So it's not just, the negative side. It's also like the freedom that you choose, the trust that you choose, the faith that you choose, like put those things to work, Ooh, that just kind of blessed me a little bit. I need to put my faith to work for me, like this choice that I've stood in of like trusting that there's something great to push out and to build and to create and to co-create with an eternal being. I know that I'm making a choice that isn't easy. And I have to have faith in my own faith. Come on in here on today. God just wanted me to sit down here so I could minister to myself, I see. Because, yeah, like that is a beautiful thing, to believe in oneself. And a lot of people don't have that. And so, yeah, that feels really special. If there is an encouraging way to end this, it is to say, like, have faith in the faith that you have. If you are someone that's building and creating something for yourself, have faith in the faith that you had to do this thing. And also know if there's another direction that you need to take, have the faith to know that you will know what that direction is at that appropriate time. Like, take the pressure off yourself. Give it to God. Go in peace. All right. Thank you. I think I should, in the spirit of lessons on the record. I don't know if that's the name. It just feels like the title for this episode. I don't know if that's that's like kind of a limiting name for a podcast, isn't it? Because then I'll always have to be sitting here talking about lessons. Is everything a lesson though? Like, is life just one big lesson? Life on the record? Girl. What are we going to name this thing? I need to figure it out by the next one. Shout out to Michael Kiwanuka on the ones and twos. We all need loving. First, I got to start inside with love of self. Okay, I'm done. Let's wrap this up because it's getting real hokey.